We're going to look at the archetype map, okay? Y'all can see this? This is, as you see here, it is a URL. It is an active URL. It will be up, you know, forever. And when I call this a living document, I really mean that. I just updated it the other day with some new stuff. And so this is going to be sent to you, but you can also you can put this in your browser and bookmark this, which I highly recommend that you do, because this is your, like I said, this is your compass. This is your map to this new land. And what I am going to do is I'm going to go through, and it's going to be an overview. I'm probably going to take, you know, 10 or 15 minutes, which is, I do master classes on each of these for 90 minutes. So, but you have it here, so you can dive into it more deeply. And I'm going to introduce to you the content of your consciousness, okay? This is the architecture of your psyche. This is the architecture of literally what you have within you is you have coding for two operating systems. Think about it that way. All right. You've been coded with two operating systems, and your job is to alchemize the one that is not serving you. And when you do that, the other one boots up, because this is your natural conditioning. This is actually your natural coding, your light archetypes. That's what these are up here. The sovereign, warrior, magician, lover. Okay. Your shadow archetypes: child, victim, saboteur, prostitute. And you see how these are in pillars, right? So there are 4 pillars in the architecture of your psyche that govern the way in which you manage your power around value, time, space, and identity. Now that's a super, super, super high level overview of the ways in which you manage your power. But in order to become a clear channel for your God pattern, you must become all-powerful. You must become a match to your God pattern. And shadow is weakness. Shadow contains almost no energy. And your job is to alchemize each of these aspects of your shadow pattern so that the light aspect can operate. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce the pillars, and then I'm going to introduce the players in the pillars. And here's how I want you to think about these pillars. Okay? You are sitting in your throne, in your kingdom, and you suddenly wake up, and there's a war going on in your kingdom. And you have 2 councils standing in front of you who want very much to advise you about what to do to stop the war and get back to peace and thriving in abundance and richness and world domination. You have a light council and you have a shadow council. The light council are these guys. The shadow council are these guys. And your job is to know who is speaking to you and advising you and directing you on which thought to think, which thought to believe, which feeling to have, because you get to choose your feelings. They are not thrust upon you. You choose them. You curate your emotional landscape, and which decisions to make. Literally, you guys, it really comes down to that. What thought do I think? What belief do I hold? What emotion do I choose to feel? Where do I choose to believe my power lies right now? And what decision am I therefore going to make? That's it. And this happens in your brain, in your mind, a million times a day. I am talking micro decisions. I'm not talking about who to marry. I'm talking about whether to have coffee or water. I'm talking about whether to give that client one more chance or fire them right now. Every single solitary decision needs to be governed by your light archetypes in every single moment. That is how you become a clear channel for creation. The problem is you have been taught that the shadow council is the one to fucking listen to. And that is why your life Sucks right now. That is why you struggle. The only reason you struggle is because you are giving your power to your shadow mind. And you are running and governing your life from your shadow psyche. It's the only reason you struggle. All you need to do is be able to recognize these voices when they pop up, and then know how to handle their insistent, demanding, stubborn insistence that they stay in your court and continue talking in your fucking ear, and get them the fuck out, never to return. And then you have the light counsel and you're good until you alchemize your light archetypes. And then you like are in another place of decision, but that's for later.
Another thing that I can point out is when you're in the light grid a lot, the main things that they tell you to work on, like your paradigms, are always around the big things like business and like, you know, a money decision and stuff, but they don't actually tell you that even the micro decisions are important. Like, I would never think in the Bob Proctor world, when I burn my pancakes and I get mad about it, that I need to do something about that thought. Like, wow. I would never think about that.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
The big stuff.
Okay, so should I explain why that's important?
Yeah.
Okay, I probably should. All right, let's see. How do I? Okay, so I'm gonna go a direction I didn't plan on going, but this is extremely important. I'm gonna try to like organize this in a simple way. The reason why, for instance, Sonica's example of like burning pancakes and like freaking out and, you know, whatever, throwing the pan, is something to be paying attention to and fixing and alchemizing, even though what she really cares about is making money in her business. She doesn't even fucking really care about the pancakes or that she freaked out about them. The reason is because energy is energy is energy is energy is energy is energy is energy. Okay. And she is operating out of shadow energy when she freaks the fuck out about the stupid fucking pancakes. I can give you examples of the insane realizations that people in my retreats, typically I do this really, really deep stuff in retreats, but actually we did it in Shadow Mastery also. Being able to get somebody from realizing that the reason they freaked out about like forgetting their hairdryer, this is literally a real example, forgetting their hairdryer at the retreat that they came to with me meant that they should kill themselves. We literally went through the entire shadow pattern. They were freaking out about it. They were beating themselves up about it. Why the fuck did I forget my hairdryer? I can't fucking believe this. What the fuck is wrong with me? Anybody recognize those thoughts? And we took that thought and we performed shadow alchemy on it. And she realized that at the very root of her crippling self-loathing was that she was worthless, could not depend on herself for anything, could not run her life, therefore can't respond to her genius, therefore can't have a business she wants, therefore can't have the life she wants, therefore she should kill herself. Literally, that was what she realized was the root of this moment.
It's so crazy.
It's crazy. And the reason why it is critical that you do this work on every single trigger, every single moment of shadow, is because you've got one channel. This is the channel of creation. You don't have a business channel of creation and a relationship channel of creation and a body channel of creation. Even though these look separate, this is one big channel, okay? This is your channel of creation. And there are ways within that you are patterned to behave and think so that that particular kind of creation can come through. And if your channel of creation is filled with shadow in your relationships, that would be here, you aren't getting money in your business, for instance, because there's shadow here. And it doesn't matter which pillar the shadow is in. This is your one fucking channel. This is why people who manage to have money get sick, for instance, because their channel is corroded and corrupted. And the goal and the promise of this tool is that you get to be a clear channel for all of it, which is why also when people do this work, they lose 26 pounds and quintuple, I don't even know the number, their financial results. And in many cases, find love. Because you're clearing the whole channel. But in order to clear the whole channel, you have to clear the whole fucking channel. You cannot focus on your business.
There was one more example that I remember reading about your retreat, where someone was like really mad that the person sleeping right in their room or something was making too much noise and they couldn't sleep. And then they did the alchemy work with you, and all of a sudden they realized that the reason that happened was because they were in their victim coming from lack of resources or something along those lines, and they were afraid the event won't be worth it, or they were in a prostitute or something. And that was crazy. It's like it shows up in the tiniest, it affects like in the tiniest ways in your life. And when you just dismiss those and don't do anything about them, you're losing an opportunity to actually unravel the root.
Yeah. So here's the thing. It's not just losing an opportunity. You will never get to the root. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to leave this for you guys. Okay. It's all here. You can open these. You see this? This is what the prostitute sounds like. This is what the saboteur sounds like. This is what the victim sounds like. I'm not going to go through it here because it's your job to go through it, and I've laid it all out for you literally. These will tell you how to identify. This is why I say says. This is the counsel speaking to you. Okay? It's really fucking easy. Once you go through this, plus for those of you who are they going through Fear and Power after?
Mm-hmm. I think some of them got their logins already.
So I mean, the Fear and Power series is going to blow your fucking minds, and it's going to help you master these voices, which is imperative for the tool. I mean, you've got to have that, okay? But I want to spend time on the tool, and I also want to talk about these other nuances of why it's so important to use this tool on everything in your life. The saboteur speaks to you in terrible, misguided, wisdom that it believes is wisdom and truth about everything. Not just your business, about everything. And so if you are running your decisions through your saboteur, and it doesn't even matter that it's not a business decision you're thinking about. If you're giving the saboteur power and energy in any area of your life, you are corroding and corrupting your channel of creation with shadow. And this is why so many times when I work with people in business, with business problems, we don't talk about business solutions, because I can tell where the shadow is holding their energy hostage, and it is almost always not in their business. Okay. So I hope that is clear to you, because that is actually one of the biggest pitfalls of this tool. People use it selectively. This is not to be used selectively. This is to be used every single time one of these voices pops up anywhere in your life. My dogs are okay. So this is for you to study, so that you can become familiar with the voices. Do you want to say anything else about this map, Sonika?
Yeah, like I think understanding also that it starts in the prostitute and, goes into the magician. Like if you look at the map, you're going to realize that the prostitute lover channel is the one that, you know, instigates everything, and then the child sovereign comes after that, and then victim warrior, and then saboteur magician. And this is something I actually did, was it actually showed me the path I was on when I would look at it this way, but it would also show me how close I was to the creation. Because when I was in my saboteur, I would know that it's literally close, because it's like,
oh my God, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's like, I realized that I totally forgot to tell you, that's one of the things the map did for me.
Let me explain this to people, because people are like, what the fuck are you talking about? Okay, so here, this is the lover prostitute channel, okay? This is the pillar of how you manage your power around love, desire, values, worth, and sacrifice, okay? And this is what I call the instigational channel. It is the channel of instigational energy. It is the first, it's like the first, I don't even know, patterning where you've got the purest form of energy that is now going to take the journey to become matter. So through each of these sub-channels that exist in this one big channel of creation, it really what you're doing here is pulling energy into matter. And the single most profound thing that this tool does is because in order to pull energy into matter, you have to know what matters. That's not a coincidence that the word is the same in both of those sentences. And this tells you what matters and what doesn't matter. Down here, these don't matter. They do not matter. They want to matter. They want to be matter. They want to matter. They want to matter very much. They will not fucking leave you alone until you fully fucking alchemize them. They will not go away. These are what actually matter, is another way of saying truth and not truth.
Yeah.
And you must know in every single fucking micro instance of your life what actually matters. Okay? So we begin with the instigational channel, values. You have been coded with a value system. Your soul coded you with a set of values, a set of desires that are your homing mechanism towards your path of evolution in this lifetime, which hopefully includes alchemizing your soul out. And I'm not even going to go into explaining all of that. But your soul is an intermediary guidance system that is unclear and not trustworthy. So this is another whole issue with law of attraction in the spiritual community, is like, follow your soul. That's not a good idea. Don't do that. So we begin with this channel, and this is the channel of instigational energy, meaning this is the way in which energy starts to become matter. And whether you decide to put your power where it truly belongs, which is in the channel, in the archetype of your lover, where you don't like that, for instance, that, for instance, that, for instance. Like, how many of you can say this is true about you? I could not say any of those were true about me when I started my business. Not a single one. Not a single fucking one. If you start off on the wrong foot here, you are fucked. You're fucked. Which is why it's the instigational energy. Everything begins here. That is basically every human on the planet. That's every human.
So there's a good question here of what if your intuition is calling you to two different values? Like packing up my life and going to South America versus I also value my lover of 2 years and the relationship we share.
So here's what I will say about that. What I hear instantly is I mentioned this earlier about desire being coded with shadow. And I don't know if I illuminated that point. So I will do that here because this is because this is the channel of desire, right? Which is all about values and value and worth and sacrifice and cost. This is the money channel. In a way, it's actually the valuing channel. So the issue there is you're not actually dealing with two values of the same. They're not the same code quality. One is buggy and it's filled with shadow, and one is not. And they're competing for dominance in your mind. You've got the lover talking to you over here, and you've got the prostitute talking to you over here. You probably have a bunch of other voices in there too. This is what the shadow alchemy tool will help you with. Because your job is to discern, and this is not easy at first. It is not easy to discern between these two voices. If it were easy, you guys would not be here. It's not easy to discern, but it can be done. It can be done. Now, there is not a single moment in my life where I'm fooled. Not a single moment. I know instantly. And I have alchemized the shadow so that my light archetypes are the ones that naturally speak. Naturally. They just naturally are the ones speaking. Sometimes a shadow gets in there and I'm like, oh my God, you need to leave. And then it just goes. Like there's no fight. Shadow's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Okay. So the challenge there is they're not actually in the same, they're not both coming from the lover. One is from the lover and one is from the prostitute. And I think there's also some victim in there too. Okay. Okay. So, but I want to finish what I was saying about desire being coded with shadow. You can want something because your shadow wants it. If you want a mansion because it's going to make you feel good about yourself, it's going to give you a sense of self-worth, that mansion is not coming to you. I don't care how many fucking affirmations you do, it's not happening. I don't care how many times you do it and how many vision boards and how many this and how many that. It doesn't matter because it is coded with shadow. And if your channel only gets to be a channel of creation if there's no shadow, it's not coming through. This is one of the major reasons why, this is why LOA had to come up with gestation.
Yeah.
This is why. Because they don't understand how energy becomes matter. If you have buggy codes of desire, they're not, goes into the whole feminine masculine thing. Those are not magnetic codes. They're dead codes. They hold no power. They hold no power to attract the masculine provider energy within you. It's not somewhere outside of you. It's a part of you. It's a part of your creation power. They have no power to attract. They're not magnetic. They're dead. They have no light. So there's just, I could go on and on about that, but that is a major reason why so one of the amazing things about this tool is that you clear your buggy codes of desire, which often means that you realize, like, actually, I don't even fucking want that at all.
Yeah. Like, that's actually, if I had set a goal for 100K right off the bat, when I started my launch, that would have been coming from shadow.
Yep.
100%, that would have come from shadow.
Yep.
But I set a goal that was not coded with shadow. It was 20K, and it was just clean. It was clean energy, and I literally attracted the unimaginable as a result.
I want to go to the tool, because we have half an hour left. I want to go to the tool, and then I want to go to questions. And I think we're going to take somebody on, actually. So I'm not going going to go through again. This is this gorgeous magazine style tool that you guys are going to be getting. Okay. Incredible. It's like got background. It explains much more of the energetics of this tool. It's like fucking amazing. But where I want to take you is to page 8, which is the actual steps of the tool. Okay. And I want to go through those at least on a high level so that you have a grasp of it. And then we'll take questions and talk about the pitfalls. So step 1 for this tool, I'm going to go through the steps and then I'm going to come back. Kill the bond with your shadow. So actually step 0, the reason why you would use the tool in the first place, you're triggered.
Yeah.
That's it. You're triggered. Not triggered about your business, not triggered about your weight, not triggered about your husband, you're just triggered.
Yeah.
This is where the excruciating, grueling, hellish, totally inconvenient aspect of this tool comes in. When I was doing this, you guys, when I was alchemizing my shadow, this is basically all I did every day because I was triggered all the fucking time. Now I don't do it. I did it I've done it once in the past 6 months. So the first, how you know to use the tool is that you are triggered in any way. How do you know you are triggered? The presence of tension in your body is the best description that I can give you. You will never be triggered and not feel tension in your body. There's also other ones too, but that's the most overarching one. The presence of tension, anxiety.
Yeah.
Anxiety, worry, what if, oh shit. And then of course, obvious shit like, throwing things, like screaming and yelling and losing your shit. Okay. So that's how you know to use the tool. The number 1 step, the first step, kill the bond with your shadow. Before you can alchemize your shadow, it must first submit to being alchemized. It must agree that its beliefs are an illusion. This is why Sonica was saying that the first step, I think I need to add some more steps, is you have to know that this is truth, you guys. You have to know that this is the fucking truth. If there is any part of you that's like, well, I don't know. I mean, it looks interesting, but I mean, I'll try it out to see if it's true. Just don't waste your time. Don't waste your time. It's not going to work. Your shadow is too strong. Your shadow will see it, sense it, hear it, feel it, know it, and it will have the upper hand forever, and it will never fucking get alchemized.
That's when it keeps coming back, too.
That's when it keeps coming back. So you have to know and decide. It's not even decide because it is true. Like this isn't a decision.
Yeah.
It's true. This is true. You have to decide that you agree that it's true.
Yeah.
Okay. Because step 1 is kill the bond with your shadow. The problem is you are bonded to your shadow. Literally, you are energetically bonded to your shadow. It has bonded to you. You identify with it. It is you. It's who you are. It's how you operate. It's what you've been taught. It's what everyone else around you believes is true about you and about them. And in order to alchemize it, you must kill the bond with it. And that is what this is about. Okay? I'm not going to go into any more detail there. You've got this, but that is the first step. You must do this because you do need to hear it. You need to hear what it's saying to you, like I was saying, showing you in the map. You need to hear it. You need to let it talk. But this is not like sinking into the shadow and being the shadow and being like, everyone around me just fucking sucks. And I just fucking hate everybody and this is fucking bullshit. That's not this. It's, I am sitting in the throne, and the way that I'm going to get you out of my throne room is to, number 1, tell you that you're leaving the throne room. There's no question about that. You're gone. But I need to hear the codes. I need to hear the frequencies. I need to hear the thoughts so I know how to apply the sword to you. Okay? So step 2 is let the trigger talk. I never wrote these out. By the time I was doing this, I had such familiarity and knowledge of the voices, and I could hold them all in my head, and I could just alchemize them, in this rather complex way. It for people I was teaching it to, it seemed like it was too much to do it that way. So I had them write it out. Your goal is to move it into your own consciousness so that you can alchemize them inside your mind and your body. Okay. So it's writing is a step. Write it out, talk it out, get all the details out so you can observe and alchemize every piece of your shadow. And it is important to be specific. You need to use actual scenarios, not I feel stupid. You cannot alchemize general codes. General codes don't even exist. That's not even a thing. Codes are specific. Your shadow has specific codes. So, like I say here, do not use general concepts like how do you alchemize stupid? You don't alchemize general codes, you alchemize specific ones. So what's going to happen is you're going to notice that you're triggered, and then you're going to have to move yourself back in time. You're like, okay, what actually happened? Wait, what actually happened? You've got to do this until you find the actual scenario, something that someone actually said, something that actually happened that caused the cascade, and you start there. Make sense? And I include an example here, you guys. I'm not going to go through it, but I include a real life example, and I use her, was one of my clients, to illustrate how each of these steps work, okay? Which is here, and I'll let you read that later. Once you have listened to the counsel, not from the perspective of knowing that they're the truth, but from the perspective of letting them speak, so you can understand all the different voices that have to go. You name them. Because at the point where they're just talking to you, it's literally going to be like you can't even see the distinct voices. It's just all the voices from all the shadows. Most of the time, it's all of them. So now you have to sit down and sort. Okay, that's my saboteur. That's my prostitute. That's my victim. That's my child. Or sometimes this is just my saboteur. That's all it fucking is. It's just one clear voice. But you've got to know who is speaking to you, because each of those sub-pillars carries a particular energy pattern that has to be alchemized. It's got to be alchemized its way. Like, you can't alchemize anxiety, generally. You have to alchemize the root code. This is going back to what you were saying, Sonika.
Yeah.
You've got to alchemize the root code. I know what I wanted to say, which is the reason why this is the only tool you need is because it gets to the root codes, those 4 codes at the bottom. Those are the 4 codes of shadow. That's it. There's just 4 of them. But they produce an infinite amount of shadow thoughts and shadow beliefs and shadow emotions and shadow decisions and shadow thoughts and shadow beliefs and shadow emotions. They produce they're producing infinite numbers up here, infinite. And this is where the light worker world operates. They have a tool for this instance and that instance and this instance and that instance and this, and a retreat for that and a workshop for that and a book for that and this for that. And you will never get to the root. This tool goes to the root, which is why when people use it and master it, they say they can get rid of all of their tools. They don't need all that stuff. But you have to know the root. That's the point here. You have to identify it clearly, because the truth rant you apply to it contains the codes that alchemize it into its light frequency.
And that's what shadow.
And it doesn't work across. Like it doesn't. It's not. If you mistake it, it's not going to completely alchemize it. What were you gonna say?
Shadow. That's what shadow mastery is actually for. Like in the freaking practicums. Like we're bringing real life in the moment examples, and we're like practicing on each other live with Lorna right there on how to name the shadow. And a lot of times we're dead wrong about what it even is. And then, you know, we dig deeper and we dig deeper and we learn how to get to the very precise, and not even just about the code, but the precise truth that will like kill the code right then and there.
Yeah, there's like, it's like they're pairs, okay? They're pairs. The light and the shadow codes are paired. And so the light code carries the power to alchemize. It's like a zap. It's like what it looks like. It's like a laser. It's like a laser. And the other codes don't carry the same power. Like it's not, you're not going to release the shadow. And here's I include lots of different examples so that you can, you know, have something to work with. Step 4, speak the truth to your shadow. Direct the black light beam of truth. Don't worry about what that means right now. What this means is now you're headed, now this is why the map is so important, because I give you the truths. Because you have been spending your entire life in the Shadowlands, and so you are not at this point yet able to even source the truth from within your own psyche, even though it's there. It's been covered in shadow for so long. So that's when you, once you've identified the shadow pattern, you just go right up to the light pattern and go, oh, this is what's true. The saboteur says, I don't know. The magician says, I know. I know. Somebody used this recently in a clever but completely inaccurate way. Because the thing about the saboteur will also say, I know, when they don't fucking know. This is why it's the saboteur is the know-it-all. Okay. The magician is the know-it-all. And there is a vast difference between the two. The saboteur doesn't know what they don't know, thinks they know everything, doesn't know anything. The magician knows everything, including that their saboteur thinks it knows things that it doesn't know. And so there's a specificity around the saboteur magician channel that's different than all of the others, because it's actually open at both ends and it's approached in a different way. And this is also why the nuance of learning this tool with me is essential, because otherwise you can just you can miss the nuances. But the point being that when you identify the shadow voice, you now have the truth, and now you can use that to alchemize, and that is the truth rant. I'm sure you guys have heard about the truth rant. That's what it is, and it is not about the words, and it is all about the words. Because what actually matters is the tone of truth that the words are delivered with. Together, the words and the tone of truth create the spell that breaks the spell. And this is something that you must commit to doing until it is fucking broken, and you will feel it physically in your body. I think I say somewhere here that most people have a physical, almost, if you do it right, you will have a physical reaction, a physical release of some kind. Most people feel chills. Some people feel like this massive rush of energy, because you are literally releasing energy back into your system. And the way you know if you're doing it right is that you have a physical response to it. This is the most challenging part. This is where I do most of my work in shadow mastery with people, because they have no fucking clue what the tone of truth actually sounds like. It's the God command. It's the command that a universe obeys. It is not a suggestion. It is not a recommendation. It is not an inquiry. It's a fucking command.
And this is why you start saying things and they start happening as a result of this tool. That's why you start actually manifesting what you decree, because your tone of truth literally shifts universes and manifests new ones. and creates new realities. That's what you're learning here to master.
And I will say my literal tone of voice is complete. If you go back to my live streams way at the beginning, I don't sound the same. My tone of voice has completely changed. I now naturally sing on tune, very beautiful voice. I sang at my last event. I'm not a professional singer. I have like no training. I could not carry a tune before. I couldn't match pitch. I couldn't carry a tune. My ability to be in tune directly resulted from this work, specifically the tone of truth, literally. My family was like, you don't sing, you can't sing. It's like, yes, I can. The tone of truth, man.
So we should talk about action, because there's a question about, do we do the truth rant if an action needs to be taken?
Yeah, so this is it. There's more, okay? The step 5 is do it until there's no content left. And I will say this one thing, and then yes, I want to go to questions. You guys, when I was doing this, I use this example all the time, but it's a perfect example. I'm a single mom, okay? I did not at the time. I now have all kinds of help around me to run my life. At the time I had nobody. It was just me and my daughter. And that did not matter, and that was not an excuse. When something happened and I noticed a trigger, I remember very distinctly, I was making dinner. I turned off the burner. I picked up my keys. I got in my car because I guarantee you will not be able, when you're first starting to do this work, you will not have the freedom. You will not allow yourself the freedom to do a truth rant the way it needs to be done with the God command when other people are around. It's not going to happen. You'll be too self-conscious. So get in your car, go outside, find a place where you can just be completely private. That was my car. Got in my car, drove around 20 minutes doing a truth rant, and I would finish and be like, that's not it. I don't fucking believe myself. I'm doing it again. I'm doing it again. I'm doing it again until I hit it. And I was like, awesome. And I was in my car doing truth rants multiple times a day. So, what was your question?
About action. So
action, yeah. Say that again.
So when you have to take action, should you do the truth rant?
Okay, amazing. So this is actually one of the pitfalls. We're basically stepping into the pitfalls right now. So, in fact, I have here when not to use the tool and how not to use the tool. So, and what I have here is, when action will alchemize it, take the fucking action. So here's the thing about alchemy, you guys. Action, when you have an intuitive hit and you are and the feeling and the fear that you have, and it may not even be an intuitive hit, it's just, I know I need to do something. Like I just know that this has to happen, and you're fucking terrified. Do not do shadow alchemy. Take the fucking action. Do the alchemy on the fallout from having taken the action. Okay? I'm going to say it again. When there is a clear action to take and you're fucking terrified, take the action, do the alchemy on the fallout of having taken the action. Okay? Sometimes I had to do alchemy on my fear of taking the action because I was so fucking terrified. So I would get in my car and I would do a truth rant on that. But I'm telling you, it is not the way to use the tool. That is not the way to use the tool in place of terrifying action. Okay? Here's the thing, you guys. You will never alchemize that last code of fear that remains is there because action is what alchemizes it. You will never alchemize yourself out of fear before you have to take the terrifying action.
No.
This is a huge issue in law of attraction. It's why they say it needs to feel natural, path of least resistance. No, no, no. Not if you want to become a godhead. If you want to become a more comfortable and happy human, yes.
That's a huge distinction, because a lot of them, that's their goal, right? Is to just like,
which is fine, but they're not happy. They're not even comfortable, happy humans.
Yeah.
They're not.
Because they're not supposed to be.
Sandman wants to know, what does that mean, the fallout of the action? I will give you an example. I posted a picture of myself, a topless picture of myself with little like pasties or whatever, in a group because I knew that I needed to. Because it was my way of showing people what not caring what people think and not caring about fallout actually looks like, because it's one of the groups where I made most of my money. It's like their 30,000 member group. I made most of my money from the group.
Photo I saw of you, and that's when I checked you out.
Are you serious?
Not literally checked you out, but like checked out your profile.
You guys, that one photo got me the CEO of my business. Okay, and I knew I needed to post it because I knew that it was the best way for me to actually show people like what it actually means to not give a flying fuck, to really be unfuckwithable, to really be a badass, to anyway, I'm not going to go into all of it. I posted the picture, and it created I think 300 or 400 comments, people telling me I was mentally ill, psychiatrists and therapists talking about how like it exploded. It fucking exploded. There were groups talking about me. There were people talking about me. It was like someone called me a saggy dog, an ugly grandma. Like it was cruel. There was cruelty. I dropped a bomb in this group. And that's what I mean by fallout. That's what I mean by fallout. Doing something that is in absolute integrity, that is the expression, talk about the prostitute lover, of my self-expressiveness, my value, my values, all of those kinds of things, because I value being an example of being unfuckwithable. And had I cared, the Lorna that I was in that moment was 100% able. I was laughing hysterically at people's responses, like the ones that were the most terrible, like the woman who called me a saggy dog. I have never laughed more at the time. It was the funnest, 2 days of my life. And in the past, it would have crushed me. People were questioning my integrity. They were calling me a fraud. It just the whole gamut. So that's what I mean by fallout.
Like a very common example is when you have to fire a client and you're afraid of their backlash, oh my God, I don't have enough money. Are they going to ask me for a refund? Like what happens if they ask me for a refund? That's a very common example.
What they say on social media, how they go talk about you, what impact that has on your brand and your reputation and your ability to get more clients. And
that's fallout. Yeah.
Yeah.
So people want to know, they want an example of a truth rant. So do you want to bring somebody on so that we can?
Sure. Yeah, totally. I want to just say the other way that to not use it, okay, just really quickly, and then we will use the last minutes here to give an example of a truth rant. It is not a tool for processing. This is not a processing fucking tool. I have seen so many people say, oh, I just got to go do shadow alchemy on that, and I'll do shadow alchemy on that. I'll do shadow alchemy later on that. This is unthinkable to me. Do not do shadow alchemy later. Do you know what archetype that is? Saboteur. I'll do it later. Do it in the fucking moment. That is when you're just you're just basically saying, I'm just going to keep the poison in my system just for a little while longer. I'll do it later. It's not convenient to do it now. It doesn't make sense to do it now. It's do it fucking now. If you do not do shadow alchemy in the fucking moment, don't bother doing it. Okay. Okay, so we want to bring somebody on.
Oh, we have a hand raised. Search. Oh, there's a lot of raised. Okay, Lorna, your pick.
From the raised hands, let's see. How do you tell? Oh, here we go. I'm going to go with Syra.
Holy shit, her name popped into my head 15 minutes ago that's who was going to be on.
What?
Just stop. Yeah, I'm not joking. I fucking knew that was about to happen.
Okay, do I promote her to panelist? Is that how I do it?
Yeah, I think that's how we have to do it.
Okay, I promoted you to panelist. Okay. Oh, there she is.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's...
Okay, I think she's unmuted.
Start your video. Yeah, here she is. Oh my God, this is so exciting. Oh, you're muted. We can't hear you.
Maybe unplug your.
Yeah, sometimes if you're using your.
Yeah. Now?
Good question. Do you only alchemize? These are so great. You know what? We should capture these, Sonica. We should have make a note. Let's have Melissa capture these questions, and I'll do like an FAQ because these are really good. Do you only alchemize present events, or do you alchemize past ones?
Okay.
Yes, we can hear you. This is only about the present, and the reason is because this tool is actually a time machine also. So it actually alchemizes, it will alchemize all of it.
Okay.
So only alchemize present events. Hold on a second, guys.
The dog is in all the live calls.
The dog is my trigger, actually. It's one of my triggers.
Okay. So we're going to, and we may end up going a little over here. What we're gonna do is, we're gonna like really collapse the tool. We're not gonna be able to do like the full thing.
There we go.
This is a really weird sound.
Oh, sorry.
Like, so we'll just do what we can, and I'll we'll work through what we can. So what is a current, very real trigger that you're working with?
Sexual abuse.
Okay, but what does that mean?
So that means fear of safety, fear of security, fear of, like, I have to have my door locked at all times. Like, there's no one around that can hurt me, but I have my door locked. And I'm constantly paranoid when I'm in my room. If it's not locked, I have to have it locked.
So is this something you're afraid of happening, or is something that happened that you don't want to happen again?
Yes, something that happened that I don't want to happen again.
Okay, so here's the thing. Did not expect to be alchemizing this. But you can't alchemize a general fear. Okay? Like I was saying earlier, it doesn't work. So I want to know a specific scenario that happened like today that triggered it. Because if it's not real for you, like right now, someone was was just asking this about, can you alchemize? You can't alchemize the past. You alchemize the past by alchemizing the present, and then the past leaves.
So something that happens, and the reason why I lock the door is because I feel unsafe around my brother. Anytime I see him, like, he triggers me, and it brings back memories of the abuse itself.
Okay, did he abuse you?
No.
Okay, so it's just he reminds you of the abuse for some reason. For some reason.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you live with him?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you live with him?
We live together. I live with my mom and my brother. And like in our culture, women are not allowed to live separately unless you're living with a husband. And I'm divorced, so I don't. I have a daughter, 5-year-old, but I don't live on my own. I plan to, but I don't do that yet.
Someday?
Yes, this year.
Someday, not now. So, do you see where we're already starting into the spiral? You are placing yourself in a condition you do not fucking value because you want approval by the fucking tribe. And when are you going to solve the problem? Later. That's the saboteur. The prostitute sells her soul in return for approval from the tribe. And the saboteur comes in and says, you know what, here's how I'm going to make you feel good about this. Someday we'll stop doing this.
Yeah. It feels totally unsafe, and sometimes I'm like, okay, I just want to pack my bags and leave, but then I'm like, but how am I going to fund that? How am I going to provide?
I'm not willing to make the sacrifice required to stand in my values. So the problem here is we're not, the whole thing about the sexual abuse and the safety and the thing is not the point. Remember I was just saying you alchemize the fallout?
Mm-hmm. The fallout, yes.
So there's going to be fallout. Lots of fallout.
Huge.
From you making this decision. And you're focusing on sexual abuse as the thing you need to fix, the trauma around that. It's not true. That's your crutch. The truth is, you are willing to sell your soul right now for approval. You are willing to abandon and betray your core values of not being in this house and not being around your brother and not being around your mom and having your own sovereignty. That's your true value. And in this case, I'm not going to go into like all the reasons why. I can tell you're not running from the fear. With someone else with the same conditions, I would be saying, stick it out. But that's not your condition, because I can tell that this is a value thing. This is a prostitute thing. This is you not living in accordance and in alignment with your own fucking integrity. And in so doing, you will also alchemize the victim you that is the one holding on to the trauma.
By taking the action.
It will go. There's a core code, and this is deeper into the energetics of shadow alchemy that I, intended to get today. But there is a hostage taker. Look at the shadow elements as hostage takers. Okay, there's a saboteur hostage taker, there's a child hostage taker, there's a victim hostage taker, and there's a prostitute hostage taker. And they are holding your energy and your power hostage in particular energy patterns. And there is always it's like hostage situations. There's always the leader hostage taker and like the followers that help out. Okay, in a lot of cases. Same with your shadow. And you're making the mistake of thinking your victim is the main hostage taker. You came on here, I got to alchemize my victim. No, you don't. No, you don't. Your prostitute is the fucking hostage taker here. And when you alchemize that and you take back your power from your prostitute and you place it in the hands of your lover, I am willing to sacrifice whatever it takes to stay in accordance with my values. That is the statement of the lover. That was just an example of a truth rant. Well, a little tiny one.
And once you take the action, you alchemize the fallout that would occur from that. You know, like, oh my God, I just moved. I don't have enough funds to cover it. Then the alchemy begins again.
You do not wait for the plan. That's the saboteur. But what's my plan? But how am I going to make money? But I don't see the way. But this doesn't make sense. But this is irresponsible. Literally, you will see, I think, every single one of those as the voice of the saboteur.
Yeah, I've had those.
And the victim is going to say, but look what happened. Here's your counsel, okay? Do not fucking listen to that crazy, insane lover. Are you fucking kidding me? Who's going to be responsible for my dreams, child? Nobody's going to give me permission to do that, child. Look what happened last time, victim. I can't protect myself, victim.
Yeah.
Prostitute, what are people going to think of me? Victim, I will have no support. Victim, I have no resources. Victim, I have no money. Victim, where am I going to live? Saboteur, plus, this is just not the right time. This doesn't make any sense. This is irresponsible. I have a child. I need to be responsible. This looks foolish. I'm willing to do it. This is why the saboteur is so sneaky. I'm willing to do it, just not right now, because it's not responsible and it doesn't make sense. Someday, yes. But not right now.
I had the urge, I think it was last week. I still have some assets, like in terms of gold jewelry. And I was like, I'm just going to go sell it right now and then just move. And then I think within like 10 minutes, I talked myself out of that decision because I was like, what's going to happen after that? Like after I get $10,000 from selling this jewelry, what's going to happen? And I was in the car and I could have taken the action and I didn't. And I just talked myself out of it. I was like, I'm just going to go home, think it through, make a logical decision. And I did take it. I didn't do it.
And this is why the victim is not the place for you. That's why. Because it's you know it. You just know it. You went through it. Right? You went through it and you got caught in your saboteur. That's what happened. You got caught, just like what Sonica was saying, which is so brilliant, because when you pull the energy back and the power back into your lover and you say, no matter what, I am standing in my values and what I truly value, and I'm willing to make any sacrifice necessary, no matter what. Your child, the dreams of your child can now be held in the hands of your sovereign, which is what's responsible for making your child's dream come true. And your sovereign takes that value system, turns it into a vision, a dream, a concrete desire to have my own place. And the sovereign now makes it a decree, turns the value into a decree. I am getting my own place now. No matter what, no matter who gives me permission. And then that activates the warrior, which is the victim warrior channel of resources and limits and boundaries. And it's easy for you to step into your victim. But where are my resources? Where are my resources after these resources are used up? Because your saboteur is looking at this world and thinking this is all there is. This is my plan, $10,000. What do I do after this plan is used up? You see, your warrior knows that it is the source of infinite resources. Your magician knows that it can create from nothing over and over and over and over again. Your saboteur will say, but we might not have enough time. $10,000 might not buy us enough time, because your saboteur is owned by time. Your saboteur is time's bitch. Your magician says, I create time. I expand time. I collapse time. These resources that my warrior has placed into my hands are more than enough, because I am master of time. I decide how time goes. I don't fucking wait for gestation. That is not how this game goes. This happens now. So that is an example of a truth rant for those of you who are wanting to see what it looks like.
You're so close. You're coming up really close to the action when your saboteur is the dominant one. You're creeping up on the action that's about to become available to you that you're gonna have to take. Because like the rest of them, you know, you're alchemizing and doing it, and then the saboteur is like the last one. It just spews bullshit. It literally spews bullshit. And yeah, literally. And it's the final one that's like blocking it's like the final block that, you know, it's waiting for you to like take the action. So the fact that your saboteur, yeah, exactly. That's how I actually saw it when I was doing my truth rant. Was if my saboteur was there, it was actually my good sign, because it was like the final say out of all the council of shadows. That was the final block. So for you, that's what's happening. There's an action to be taken, and that's your clue for everyone. There's an action to be taken if your saboteur is dominant. That's how you know. So for the people going, but how do I know? But how do I know what to do? But how do I know? There's an action that you need to take, and that's why your truth rants are not hitting the spot.
It's almost like the energy goes from lover so quickly, from lover, sovereign warrior, and then right before it becomes matter, because remember, this is all about energy becoming matter, and at each stage it becomes more material, right? From a value to an actual vision based on that value, from a vision and a decree to like getting the fucking resources together, right? And from getting like the raw material of resources to creating, that's the creation channel, the magician saboteur channel, to like pulling them together and adding that extra magical transformational touch that turns it into like your new decision and your new reality. And right before that happens, the saboteur is going to come in and have the last word. That's the saboteur. I got to have the last word. If you're the kind of person who has to have the last word, you are in your saboteur. The saboteur is going to try to get the last word instead of giving you the way to the first action.
Yeah.
So anyway, that is you know, and the tone is everything. If I say, I'm going to give you a quick example of the wrong tone. Okay, the not tone of truth. Well, let's try it on you. So, Syra, what is the truth about what you truly value?
So the truth about what I truly value is I value being in my own power. I value being my own source of power. I feel
that's not the tone of truth, everybody.
No, it's not. It's not. It's not.
So you can do all this work. You can identify all the voices. She knows the truth. You know the truth. Your shadow pattern is stronger than your mental field. Your shadow pattern is stronger than your theoretical knowledge. So just knowing and saying the words will not cut it. This is the part that is the hardest to do. And we sped through this, which is why the tool is there, because at the very beginning of this is kill the bond with your shadow. You are still very bonded to your shadow. Very bonded to it, right?
That's actually another good example is when you're doing the alchemy and your shadow keeps coming back, it's because part of you actually believes it and believes what it's saying. And you're trying to pull away from it, but you believe it so much that you're not able to command what you actually want. So it's important that you kill the bond first, 100%.
And here's the infuriating part about this tool, okay? And this is why the spiritual light worker community has so many thousands of tools, okay? Somebody asked me, I think it was in Shadow Mastery, what is the tool to get yourself into the willingness to use the tool? Think about it. What if I don't want to kill the bond with my shadow? Then how do I do that? Like I need something to help me want to kill the bond with my shadow. What do I do? What do I do with that? And I said, you're fucked. Can't help you. There is no tool for that. You know why? Because if I gave you a tool for that, then you would ask me, how do I have a tool to help me want to use the tool so I can use the shadow alchemy tool? And then I would give you a tool for that. And then you would say, okay, now I just need a tool that will help me want to use the tool, that will help me want to use the tool to use the shadow alchemy tool. This is why the lightworker self-help business is a $10 billion fucking industry.
They have a lot of tools.
Yeah.
All for surface level shit.
All for surface level shit. All to help people get into the willingness to want to willingness to want to be able to willingness to it. That's not how this works. And that is just, unfortunately, that is the infuriating paradox of this tool, is that it begins with a decision. And that decision is it's actually the moment before creation, is what it is. It's the moment before the instigational channel.
That's why they call it the will.
Yep, the creative will. It's and that you have to source from within your own.
Yeah. No one's gonna give you a tool for the will to do this work.
No,
you're gonna have to pull the will up from yourself. It's what I had to do. I had to, like she said, not decide it's truth because it's truth, but I had to agree that this was total truth. And I had to pull the will up to do what it took the entire time. Myself, she couldn't give me that.
No. There's no tool for that. That's the moment before the Big Bang. It comes from nowhere. And that's the place you have not reached. And so everything's conditional. So what Sonika was saying about, well, if you're conditional around this, maybe it's true. I'm going to see if it's true. I'm going to try the tool. If you're conditional around it, it's useless.
I agree, because just like Sonika, I've had so many different mentors, I think, over the last, for the last 4 years, but I haven't gotten to a place where I've been able to alchemize or realize this as the truth, because I've been told, well, this is the truth, now this is the truth, now this is the truth, now this is the truth. And then there's the religion aspect of it.
Wait, but that's not why. That's not why. You just went totally into your fucking victim. The reason you haven't gotten anywhere is not because other people are misleading you about the truth. It's because you've been committed to being misled.
Always a choice.
If you had not been committed to being misled, you would not have stuck around with any of those fucking teachers.
Mm. Sure.
That's the big one.
This is where it gets really tedious, but it's where you gotta go. Like, you just saw how many shadows came up for you in this, like, 10-minute conversation.
I'm like shadow all over.
Yeah. So your homework, and this is what I did. This is how I shifted myself. This is literally how I shifted my tone of voice. Is to videotape yourself, record yourself doing a truth rant. And watch. Does anger help? No. Anger is no. But intensity is critical. This is something that's really important for people to understand. You just saw me do, a truth rant in a way, basically. And I wasn't angry. I'm not angry. There's no trigger there. There's no emotional content. I am insistent as fuck, though. Insistent as fuck. And that is it's like emotion, but it's not shadow emotion. It's not even really emotion.
Like, God is not flaky.
Yeah, God is not like, it'd be like the example I used, it'd be awesome. Light. I love light. Light is cool.
Maybe imagine light.
The God command, let there be light.
You were saying that record video of myself doing a truth rant and then watch?
And then watch it and ask yourself, would a universe believe me?
Probably not with my current tone.
Nope, they wouldn't.
Yeah.
And so then you do it again. Would a universe believe me? Would a universe obey me? What you are wanting to do is be a clear channel for creation. That is what you want to do. You want to bring a universe through. An entire universe wants to come through you and be your life and be what you experience. That is what's happening here. And that universe is not going to obey shadow. It doesn't obey shadow. It obeys light. And then beyond that, it obeys dark even more. So there is no point of doing this unless your tone is one a universe would obey. And you do it. I'm telling you, Syra, if you force yourself to do this, your life will never be the same. It may take you 2 months doing it every fucking day, multiple times a day, until you get to the point where you watch yourself and say, a universe would fucking believe that. Your life will never be the same.
That's why I actually dared myself in fucking weeks to master this completely, if that's what it took. And whatever fallout came after that decision, I was willing to deal with it because mastery was what I wanted. Because when I master this, what I want is a natural result because that's the law, right? You're learning how to work it.
Yep. The clear channel cannot help but pull a universe through. Like, you can't prevent a clear channel from pulling a universe through. It's like a vacuum, right? It's like a black hole. It's like, that is just the natural order of things. That's why I say you're wired for magic. Genius is in your bones and thriving is your natural state. A clear channel is a fucking vacuum hose for a universe to just drop right in.
And that's where when you see people who are like, you know, achieving what they're achieving, and they don't actually like go and do the LOA stuff, and you're wondering how the hell that happened. Like, okay, yes, they still have shadow, but the point is they are naturally just pulling in what they want because they're running life through their light archetypes. You know, just like me, I don't sit and focus on my goal 24/7. I don't like decree it and then like think about it and like calculate and wonder. I don't do those things. I'm literally just a natural channel for it to drop through, and in most cases, even more than I imagine. Yep. You're cleaning up your channel is what you're doing.
Okay.
What if she just goes and sells the jewelry and moves out? Then the shadow gone? I think the question is, will the shadow leave when she does that? Well, okay, shadow doesn't leave, it gets alchemized. I mean, there's two ways to manage shadow, okay? One is managing it, which is discharging it. So an action that like discharges the energy for a while, which then it just comes right back in. And then there's alchemizing it, which literally alchemizes the energy into light, into its true nature, so that it stays in the light and it doesn't come back in. So the shadow doesn't, I mean, there's no such thing as the shadow being like gone. But I think the question is,
can she just do that? Like, can she just go and take that action and then have the shadow be gone is what the question is. Or
the whole shadow pattern in her whole field? No. Hell no. Those codes are very potent, and they are here for a reason. They've been installed in our consciousness for millennia. So one action is not going to vaporize and alchemize the entire field. I don't know if that's the question.
Like that one shadow will be alchemized is the question with this action.
Probably not. It depends on how deep it is. Yeah. It's like I don't know. It's hard to explain. You know what? Here, I'm going to give you an example. Okay, addiction. Okay, saying that taking action will alchemize the saboteur is inaccurate. It's only inaccurate if you think that I meant entirely and completely with one action. No, it will not. But also, not taking the action will not alchemize it. So there's content in your shadow, you guys. There's like literally it's content, and it can be alchemized. There is a finite amount. So this is not like using tools forever and ever and ever and ever, and you never really get anywhere. Okay. But there is content to your shadow. All right. And it's a finite amount, and it can be alchemized. How much content depends on the psyche. Okay. For somebody on the planet, one action might alchemize the rest of it, and it's gone. Okay. For Syra, that is not the case.
It's like the action,
like addiction.
Alchemize this, and then it might trigger something else, and you keep going. Sometimes it's an action, sometimes it's a truth run, and then it gets smaller and smaller, and eventually the amount is gone.
And what it leaves, how I talk about it, it leaves like a ghostly outline of itself. Okay, it's like just a ghostly. It's an empty kind of ghostly outline of itself. And then what you do is you just sweep. It's like cleaning house. It's just kind of you just sweep through any little thoughts, any little things that want to trickle in and collect. Like that. It's like super simple, super easy, super quick. Okay. But it's like addicts. Some addicts are right just over the line of addiction, and they can literally say, I am not drinking anymore. And then that's it. Some addicts have to go to a meeting a day. Some have to go to 3 meetings a day. Some have to go to an outpatient facility. Some have to go to an inpatient facility. I mean, it's like it's the amount of content that's in your shadow that dictates, how the shadow alchemy tool works.
So the expectation behind the action making shadow disappear is shadow in itself.
No. Where does the level of content come from? Your wounds. It comes from all kinds of places. But yes, I mean that's a decent description. It comes from your soul, actually. Your soul patterns your psyche with shadow. So when people talk about soul guidance and follow your soul, not a good idea. Don't do that. Don't follow your soul. Your soul is on a learning journey. Your soul has things to learn, therefore. And where do you think you got the coding and the generational trauma that happens in your body and your psyche? From your soul. Your soul literally programs your psyche with problems that it gets to solve this time around.
Can you talk about pulling through the dark heart, I'm assuming, of gold to alchemize and not the mind?
I think that's going to confuse people more than it's going to help, honestly, in this container. Here's what I will say. Okay, the dark heart of gold is it's gonna, people are gonna get into their saboteurs. What's gonna happen? They're gonna be like, well, wait, I don't understand, but how does that work? But I don't understand. The piece about me including that is really just more exposing the energetics, okay, of how this is working. You don't need to open up your heart cavity and like study your heart for it to be. Okay? So don't worry about that. Just don't let that trip you up right now. So if she was meticulous with shadow alchemy, she'd eventually be able to take the action. No. What? I don't understand that question. If she was meticulous with shadow alchemy, she'd eventually be able to take the action. I don't think you understood me correctly, Pamela. Shadow alchemy, remember, just think about the position of you being the king or the queen in your throne. And you have a decision to make. And I mean micro decisions. And big ones too. All of the decisions. And if you're in the moment where, okay, I need to make the decision, which voice do I listen to? Then you go to the archetype map, you understand the aspects of which voice you're listening to. And if you can clarify which voice it is, and you know that it's a shadow voice, then you quickly flip to what the light voice is, and then you take the action. You don't do alchemy on the fear in the moment when there's action to take. What you do alchemy on is almost always the fallout or the condition of your mind in between action moments. Okay, like for instance, me at the stove, I had just decreed like that day or a few days earlier, I want a 100K month. That's what I fucking want. That's what's happening. This was like my second month in business. I want a 100K month. Okay, great. Put it on sticky notes, 100K month, done. Fuck yeah. And then I followed intuitive action and I was like, da-da-da. And then I was just at my stove and I was like, this is never fucking happening. I'm not getting a 100K month. That's fucking ridiculous. Shadow alchemy time. It's not like I had an idea that to follow that I was resisting. It was my fucking counsel going, excuse me, can we have a word with you? This is ridiculous what you're trying to do. This is going to be a disaster. What do you think you're doing? Da-da-da. That's when you do shadow alchemy. Does that make sense? Does that help?
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Yes. So good. Yes, thank you. Good. Should we take one or two more questions? We've gone over, but this is good.
So can you do this on a physical health issue challenge, or do you have physical issue or health challenge, or do you have a trigger that causes the health issue to be worse that you're going through?
I don't understand that. Do we want to let Syra?
Yeah.
Change role to attendee. There we go. I don't understand that question.
Basically, can you do this on a physical issue or health challenge? Are you talking about action?